metal bending. You can see that kind of wobbling like that. That's really cool. Let's play this back. Bam. Sexy. Haha. All right, what's up, human beings? Okay, so I want to go through busting up some metal and wood. I thought that this scaffolding asset was pretty interesting structure to mess around with this type of system. So the metal bending is pretty interesting. You can see that the objects run right through, and they will either, based on an impact force velocity or force value, they will reposition themselves so it's almost like it's bent, or if it doesn't hit it enough, it'll kind of swing back like, you know, metal naturally does. It's going to be, it uses a interesting kind of Vex matrix repositioning pivot thing. So let's get right into it. Before though, this asset here was bought on TurboSquid, so I kind of went in and cheated and kind of took it and rebuilt it myself. So you can download this, and so throw this in your scene. You can follow along, but it's basically just made up of some basic cylinders and boards and shapes. But all right, let's get right into it. So I'm gonna get my empty Houdini scene. Let's throw down a tab, throw down a geometry, go inside that, and we need to import our scaffolding here. So go up here to the little icon there and choose your OBJ. So you got that. Hit space F. So now here's our asset. All right, we got to lay out the UVs and split this up. So first thing is hover over the viewport, hit D for dog. Go to background and change this to dark, or it's up to you guys, but I like it to be dark. Okay, so first thing, let's lay out unwrap UV. Throw that in there. All right, let's split this viewport up here. So we're gonna hover over the viewport, hit Control 4, and then hover over so it's gonna split in two. So hover over the right one or left one, hit spacebar 5. You get your UV layout view. So yeah, here's an example here. Space 5, Control 4 splits at space 1 right there, right? Okay. All right, so we got the UV unwrap. Nothing fancy here. We just need to lay it out in a way that's manageable. So 0.4 is good enough. You know, it lays it out nice and neatly. It's very beautiful. Okay, so moving on. We've got that. We can go back to Control 1. Hit Control 1 so you get your maximized perspective. Right now this is pretty big. The asset's pretty huge. I don't think I scaled it right in 3D Max, but anyway, let's just rescale this down. Let's get a transform. Scale to like 0.25. That's a decent size. So now we need to split this up. I'm going to split this up through the piping and the crates. So to do that, just hit this little icon here, and it's a way of selecting based on attribute and groups and other properties like materials and whatnot. So you can you get this little dialog here, which allows you to basically view what you're selecting in real time. And hit this little wheel up here, go to attributes, select by, let's go up here, select by groups. Okay, so since they're named, groups come with the OBJ, and they're named appropriately. So we have planks and bars, so we have consistent naming here. Just to select the bar here, and while you're hovered over the viewport, hit tab and type blast here. What that'll do is you get this blast operator, and it will single out this bar. So if I invert it, I have singled out this bar. I could turn this off. So in order to isolate all the bars, you can just go in here and you can kill the 06. And we're going to do before geo an asterisk. And why isn't it? Oh, because you need 2 asterisks here. At the end. There you go. So now we have isolated either the bars or the wood. So you could just go, here I'm going to name this bars. Copy and paste this, and this is going to be wood. And you just invert the selection, uncheck that, you got wood and bars. Boom. We have that. Now let's go back to Control 4. So this is prepping our asset, which is important because you need it nice and clean. All right. Cool. Now let's do, we need to adjust we need to manage these UVs. So UV transform. Oops, no, UV transform, yeah. So here are the bars. They're all in you can see the UDIM spot 00. Connect this, UV transform. Now we can move the UVs wherever we want. So just go up here, we want to move it up 1. Basically, we want to keep the center UDIM clear, completely clear. That's usually kind of the rule of thumb. Any new topology or faces get introduced into the asset later down the line, they always end up in the center. So we want to kind of clear that out. So let's get another transform. Let's connect that bad boy. All right, now we got the planks. So we want to move them over to the right here. So just on the X transform, we got on the right. Cool. Here we are. We just got to put down a null. Let's do out underscore bars. And another null. Out underscore wood. All right, so this is a properly prepped asset. Let's just clean it up a bit more. If we middle click over either of these, we've got all these groups, which is basically the names that it came with through the OBJ. So let's just clean it up and just do group delete. We can't do it beforehand because we've already isolated it with the blast, so we could do it after here. Group delete, and then we have our groups here, and we're just gonna go put an asterisk so it selects all of them, and if you middle mouse you got no groups. Copy and paste, same thing, groups, no groups. Now I want to define these by groups, so let's throw out another group here. Basically I want to give this each of them a group name so I can manage them down the line. Now, what's cool about this is instead I can either you can see it's called group 1. That's because the group name's up here. So I can name it bars. Now if you middle mouse, you've got the primitive group called bars. I've got that defined. But what's kind of cool is you can hit $OS up in the group name. And instead of naming it up here, you can name it right straight on the actual node. So here I can go bars 1. See bars 1, but got a confliction here. So I'm just going to delete these. I don't need to name those. All right. Now I can name it bars. There we go. All right, now we got that bars. Same thing, group. And this is wood. We need up here called $OS. Cool, we have that prepped now, or at least imported and cleaned. So we can go back outside into the scene view and name this import. All right, now we have to prep the geometry. We need to fracture it up and make sure it's all tagged and properly assembled, so then it could be ready for dynamics. All right, before we get into that, I'll just color these. You want to hit C over scene view. I like to color, let's see, like imports usually like dark gray or black or something. Prep, you can choose whatever color. I like to use like green or red. And then let's just throw it out here. But let's just do, this will be dynamics, and this, yeah, I'd like to do orange. Oh, you know what? I like to name it system. This is the system. So prep, import prep system. Okay, delete this. Roll over the scene view. Hit Control 1 to get back into a full screen perspective. All right. So we got a new empty geometry network here. So hit Tab. We want to do object merge, and this will be the wood. Copy and paste this. Whoop. And this will be the bars. All right, select the bars. We want to point it to the import and out bars. The wood, do the same thing with the wood. Cool. All right, before we go any further, let's save this. So hit Control S. I've got a nice directory here. Scaffold bend lesson VO1. Accept. All right, let's start with the bars. So before we do this, I'll explain why we're going to be fracturing this up. So we're going to take a Voronoi fracture, basic, and cut this up. Very basic, nothing crazy. The reason is we're going to joint these together, and they're going to behave like metal bending. So we're going to create a constraint network that binds these together so they behave just like metal. All right, so let's just do a basic scatter. Pop that in there. This is too much, so let's do like maybe like 100. Maybe 50. 50's 75. Let's do 75. And we need our Voronoi. Put this into the first input. That is the source. Second import is the chatter source. All right, so we have it fractured. Let's check it real quick. Let's hit Tab, exploded view. That's pretty good. Let's give it some bit of a variation. Let's turn down the relax iterations. Breaks up the monotony a bit. Yeah, that looks about good. That's fine. We could always come back and adjust it, but there we go. We have our Voronoi. I think this is fine. We can visualize the pieces. Yeah, we got everything good. And that should be good. So we don't really need to do much with that one. Just put that in there. Out bars. Save it. All right, with the wood, we're going to do a little bit, we're going to do kind of a basic, cool way of splintering these up. Off the bat, I don't want to touch these base ones. So let's go back out to import. So instead of deleting these or getting rid of them out completely, I am going to define these. I'm going to select these from here. Let's move this down a bit. I'm going to select just these down from here. I'm actually going to hit delete. So now this blast has deleted them. So if I invert it, I've got that. But I'm going to group this here. Group $OS. I just want to define this base by just a group. So if I select that there, wood base. now if I come back here. Oh, that's actually kind of a dumb thing. Let's shake that out. We delete all the groups, so let's put it down over here. Shake that so you kill it. We're going to connect it down here after the group delete. So now we've got our wood base here. And select it here. So wood base. And I want to still keep it up separate for the groups, so we're just going to do a merge. Shake that off. Throw it up here. Select the blast, copy, paste, and invert that selection. Throw that selection into this group, put it into merge, and there we go. Now we have wood and wood base, so I can isolate either of these by group. Let's go step back out, go back into prep. All right. So I only want to apply this splintering to the wood, not the wood base. So I could just do this. You go transform. So here I can, up here I can just tell it to use it to wood. All right, so this is how we do this. This is kind of cool, but it's really simple. So scale, we're going to rescale the X to 0.1. So it shrinks this down. We're going to just throw a null down so we can separate this. Hit tab, do scatter. And same with the scatter, I can just select, apply it to the wood group. And how many do we got? Let's do like 750. That's a good amount. And just turn this down a bit. All right. Voronoi. First input, second input. Takes a bit. You want to wait a second. All right. And again, same thing with the Voronoi. You just select the wood. Okay, so we have these tiny little blocks shattered up. Now, to get these things back to normal, do a transform, connect that, and we want to do 10 because we scaled it down by 1. Now I'm going to rescale it, so now you can see got these pretty decent splinters here. Let's do exploded view. So these are pretty cool. And again, you guessed it, go just have it affect wood. There you go. So that's cool. And you could just delete that. All right. So we scaled it down, applied a fracture, rescaled it back. So now we got splinters. Now, real quick, let's go back to Control 4 because we want to have our UV view again. And if we select our Voronoi, so we need to, since this created some shatters, which involve inside faces, which involve new topology, we need to lay the UVs out. So let's go to transform, and let's get a unwrapped UV. Okay. Pipe that into the first input. All right, look at that. You can see the tiny little pieces. That's the inside. So let's adjust the spacing. You can get them looking like that. That's about good. That's fine. Cool. And we need to just transform that. So I wanna move that over. So UV transform. We're gonna move this over for two of them. Since we moved the first one over here, we're gonna move it over here. So just translate at a value of 2. And that's it. Throw a null down, and we have officially prepped our outwood, our scaffolding. So Control 1. All right. Here's the bars fractured up and outwood. So let's middle mouse click, just double check. Bars inside, outside, outwood, inside, outside wood base. So all the attributes seem to be good. Point counts are good. So you notice the inside and outside for the bars, but we're not going to, since we're going to be welding those together, and we don't see the inside faces, we don't need to really manage those, so that's fine. All right, let's save it. Go back out one. All right, so that is the first step to prep the scaffolding. So we've imported it, we've prepped it nice and appropriately. Now the next part is going into the system, importing it, and then just starting to build the dynamics. Cool. So that's the end of this. This is probably going to go too long. I want to keep these videos as short as possible. So I'll see you in step 2.